fuck up. It's time to talk business. Jared Taylor, Matt Best, and Evan Hafer proudly present Blackhearted. Sponsored by BlackRifle Coffee Company and Arson Wave.
Oh, hey.
Hello, hello.
This isn't Drinking Bros, Jared. You can't
shit.
say "oh hey" in that voice.
That's not. I don't think
I
that's
guess
a rule.
he can.
Is that a
He
rule?
can. I guess.
So
It depends on who the guest is.
You know, we haven't had all three of us on a Blackhearted for a while.
It's been a minute.
I know.
Well, it seems like we're constantly doing something.
It's like that whole work thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's caught up in it.
The
It's
work,
good though.
The work thing.
I know I'm sharing a meal with you guys during the podcast. I'll try not to chew in the mic.
Well,
It's
he's
okay.
not-
I had a hot
not
dog
really
sharing
sharing. I
last
wouldn't call
meeting.
it sharing. He's eating a meal in front of us.
I was hoping to
while
feed
we're
you.
having.
But I had a hot dog during the last meeting.
of course
okay.
you
So, I
did.
mean, we're even.
Perfect.
So his meal prep's hot dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it depends on the. It's a performance diet based on the athlete. So
Right.
Jared
Makes
is
sense.
fueled on hot dogs and alcohol, and
I'm chicken breast and alcohol.
Well, I had a healthy breakfast. I had a seafood sandwich.
That's not healthy.
Are you sure?
It's fried.
No, not like fried seafood. It was like crab salad.
oh,
That was
God.
breakfast?
That's all mayonnaise.
Yeah, you're right.
God.
All right, let's get into this. This is a
let's get
business
in-
podcast.
Let's get into who we have in the office, huh?
Who do we have here?
We have Jace Leroy and Jim.
Oh,
We do have
I
Jason
just
Leroy.
like using Jace's last name and not using Jim's.
That works.
well,
right.
I'm
Like
just
a
going to let you
share.
guys introduce yourselves because obviously you guys work for SilencerCo. Not obviously, but you guys are in from SilencerCo. But I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves, kind of define what you do for SilencerCo, and then we'll talk a little bit about your podcast and kind of what you guys got going on over there.
I have Facebook known Jace since 2011.
Weird.
It's basically since I've been on Facebook. So
Real friendship.
that runs deep.
I know.
It's-
It does.
That's a long friendship.
friendship.
Jim, you want to start?
Sure.
Get in that mic,
Yeah.
Jim.
Get in that thing.
Yep.
You can angle it up.
Angle it
And
up.
then you shoot it great.
better
There it
now.
is. There it
Angle
is.
that dangle.
Perfect. So my name is Jim, and I'm the official title is brand manager over at SilencerCo. but
Nice.
Nobody really knows what that means or
I
does,
don't.
other than
I don't know. That's like what
I have
we
a company
label
and I don't
Matt
even
as.
know
Yeah,
what that means.
I think I'm kind of the brand manager
Yeah.
here. I don't know.
Look at that. You got
Yeah,
the two right
it
there.
works.
Who knows? Who cares?
Give us your best explanation of brand manager. I think that would be really useful for the audience.
right. So I do things associated with our brand.
Mind blowing.
That way
Yeah.
could not have been more
Mind blown.
ambiguous. I do things for the company representing the logo. What? Get the fuck out of here.
Spot on. But no, that involves finding talent, producing videos, just trying to do things kind of that everybody else isn't doing.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Which is pretty easy in the silencer world. Because they don't do a lot.
No, they do a lot.
They go on
of,
hunting trips.
Print ads.
Yes.
One page
There's a
print
lot of those.
ads that convert. What is that like at a point zero 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 zero
You
zero
can't
zero
even measure
zero
it.
zero
You
zero
can't-
one?
Yeah, you can't even
Fuck.
measure it.
All I
A
gotta
full page
say
ad,
is-
I know that I tracked at one point with a code, and 2 people utilized the code for a total of $60.
What I do is I try to encourage all our competitors to invest most of their money in print ads.
All print ads.
All print
All
ads.
print.
What would you
Super successful marketing
for
plan.
silencers or suppressors? What would you say the most like profitable market channel is that you use? Is it like social media these days? Because I mean, it's a tax stamped item, so
Right. It's really tricky. We obviously can't sell it online. I mean, it's a process to even buy a suppressor. So, yeah, definitely just letting people know, educating the consumer that these things are even legal is our biggest challenge, and letting them know our bread and butter has been through social media and getting the word out that way. Definitely.
which makes sense because there's such a stigma behind suppressors where it's like, oh my god, they're for killing people. You're like,
Assassins.
Oh, yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
more. I just don't want my eardrums to shatter when I'm at the range.
Exactly.
And they look really good on every weapon.
Every weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably any weapon, like
Yeah.
a crossbow suppressor.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We should design that.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
So what do you do at
So
SilencerCo?
I've been a SilencerCo for
Hold
about
on, introduce yourself.
18
first.
months. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. I'm Jace Leroy.
Hasi Leroy.
Habe.
Jace
That's what
Leroy.
autocorrect will do to my name. I got hired there about 18 months ago, and I've been running their video and photography departments as well as the new podcast that we just started. So
Fancy.
yeah, they keep me busy.
You to throw a plug out? We don't care.
Yeah.
What's the podcast?
The podcast is Psycho Radio,
Okay.
and that's
Yeah.
SICO.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
Psycho.
SilencerCo
Yeah.
specific podcast.
Yeah, so we're
Uh,
like 4 episodes deep, so it just
sick.
started.
Sick.
Yeah.
So this should quite literally increase your numbers by maybe like 4 or 5,
Listeners.
which should be good.
That's what we're
Psycho
after.
Radio.
Psycho
Perfect.
Radio.
It'll double our numbers.
We had a super interesting conversation with your CEO, and that was a couple months ago. In all actuality, we would love to get him back as well. So that's a plug. Come on back
Yeah,
because
was it
his
Josh?
story was awesome. Yeah, Josh.
Josh,
yeah.
we want you back.
Yeah. And I think the first and foremost, I think, Jim, you've kind of worked for a couple different companies out there. Talk about your experience, where you've worked, and how you guys have redefined some of the landscape out there in the suppressor world. And then because we got to dovetail this in with business, right?
Right.
And he's got a lot of experience, and I'm just going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, so I started working for, I guess my first real marketing job was for a company called Maverick, which is a local convenience store chain that is in, I think 10 states now, and kind of did the same type of deal over there. I was their promotions and brand manager.
They have the Maverick Center here too.
We do-
They have a
right.
center.
There's a whole center. That
Their
was
headquarters is here too, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's just up the street.
Right.
So we're there doing just marketing stuff. It was back when social media, they didn't know they needed a person for that.
Right.
So I started doing that. And
Yeah, what year was this when you were working for Maverick?
It was 2008.
Okay.
And
Wow.
they didn't really realize that dedicating a person to social media was worth it. And then noticed that it started to kind of blow up. And then went from there to a company called Blendtech.
Yeah, of course.
And Blendtech, the blender company that helped with content over there, as well as doing some events and some promotional marketing and tracking down talent and all that good
did
stuff.
Blendtech create the Will It Blend?
Yes.
You're
Right?
kidding.
No.
That is
That
Blend
is
Tech. I was
a
going to ask
very
the same thing.
Hey, that's a traction study.
Yeah.
Was the Will It Blend series?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so was in and a part of all of that.
Whose idea was that?
Just take credit.
Just
Jim.
take credit
Just
for it.
take
yeah,
credit.
yeah.
That was your idea.
My idea.
Was it?
That's amazing.
Seriously, was it? Yes. Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and then went from there. Went to SilencerCo, and the gas station market and the blender market are not the same. But even more not the same is just the firearms industry as a whole, let alone the suppressor market. You definitely we're the most regulated product in the free world, and it's been an interesting learning curve on what we can and can't do, what I used to be able to do and what I can't do now, and then having to get around that and figure out new creative ways to get
Well,
stuff to
it's
stick.
So hard to
basically.
target a consumer, I'd imagine, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we're
That qualifies.
That qualifies, right?
It's hip hop market's not your market there.
Well, you never know. Could be. Could be.
Yeah.
Suppressors look good in rap videos.
They do.
Just a matter of getting one legally.
That's the issue.
Passing the background check.
No, because typically the accountant can pass a background check, and there has to
True.
be an accountant there.
True.
Right?
Yeah, and then
True.
the
That's
trust,
right.
and then they
there
can-
you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Now we found it.
I'll give a hint out. We do have an outstanding contract with a current rap artist that if he signs, we will be producing a video with him. So we'll
Who's
see what
that?
happens.
Is it somebody that we've spoke about before?
No, different guy.
Oh, damn.
Is
So-
it,
Because
is
I was
it
excited.
ludicrous?
It's not him.
I wanna-
50 Cent.
Not him.
Oh, dude. I know who it is.
He's all out.
I know who it is.
I got two.
Tupac. Tupac. This would be the
Tupac?
biggest
No,
That would
commercial
be the
ever.
biggest ever. If you got Tupac,
Tupac comes back
That
from the
would be-
dead to pimp suppressors.
Yeah.
That's Silent Life.
That
yeah.
would be epic.
That's
It's
Silent
Tupac
Life.
and Elvis going to the range.
and MJ.
Well, and honestly, that kind of hits the point of what we try and do. Is a lot of people in the firearms industry, they just target one specific person, and we've tried to broaden that and kind of go out to reach markets. That's why you'll see us doing things like
You guys do a good job.
yeah, you'll see us hitting up people like from the action sports world, from the automotive world, all those kind of cross markets where we know that guy has a gun, but he may not know that suppressors are even legal. So let's
Right.
talk to that guy.
Do you guys know BJ Baldwin?
We
God.
we know BJ Baldwin.
That's cool.
He's a cool dude.
No, that totally
he's
makes
got a
sense
great-
though, because
he's
like
got
if you
great
have a
Instagram.
firearm and just knowing that you can purchase a suppressor no matter what demographic you are, like that, there's a market for that. I mean, the hunter who wants to smoke a deer with a suppressor so he doesn't have to take freaking ear pro for his kid and put it in before the shot, all of that stuff, you know.
Right. Well, there's all the benefits to it, but our biggest, I guess, hurdle is trying to get the guy that, he's got 2 or 3 guns to purchase a suppressor. The guy that has the gun collection, he's got a full room of them. He then moves on to the point where he's like, I have enough guns. Let's start down the suppressor road. But we want to kind of let people know, look, let's get, you buy 1 or 2 guns, you get a pistol, you get your hunting rifle. Now is the time to buy a suppressor and see the benefits of shooting suppressed and kind of try that out, and then you almost buy the suppressor to fit the gun, not the other way around.
Yeah, we knew one of your competitors that's really bad at selling a lot of suppressors to one person when we walked him in their building and he ordered 27 on the spot.
The biggest hurdle is getting them to buy their first suppressor.
Yeah.
If you can get somebody to buy their first one, they realize that
It's,
You
it's
guys are
not
like
the worst
pushers.
process in the world.
Yeah.
You get your photos and you get your fingerprints taken care of, and then getting them to buy more isn't nearly as difficult.
Or you
No.
just save up the money and you just get 9 of them at
Yeah.
one time. That's the best way to do.
Just buy one of
because
everything.
then it's Christmas when those
and then you're
tax
good to
stamps
go.
come through.
Yeah. I like to get those bulk deals on suppressors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
are
go
you
down to
guys
Costco and-
looking to distribute through Costco later on?
Yeah, I think we are.
So you guys laugh. They actually have ammo crates in Costco now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw
It
you
is
bought a
Utah.
lot.
I bought a lot.
So I do have a couple questions. So, the biggest challenges that you've seen as far as like, you've got a very, very difficult product to market.
Mhm.
You do.
Yep.
And you have to constantly, I would imagine, be like grinding all kinds of different angles because you have a very difficult product to market.
And that
So-
marketing department is hard to have real-time data on effectiveness because essentially it takes a couple months to even look if, hey, is what we did, was it effective?
Most of this stuff we're checking with our distributors, right?
Right.
Like how much is our distributors moving? But you're right. Like it's weeks, months.
There's a delay.
Definitely a delay. So it makes projections and things difficult.
And we can kind of base that off of some online sales and say, hey, if we sell more accessories, that means more people bought our product,
Yeah.
obviously.
Okay.
But, those are all still projections in
Is there
no
a direct
real-time
correlation
data.
between what you're selling on e-com and how much you're moving in your distributor?
There's definitely a correlation.
I'm not sure how much of a correlation, but I know
Right.
there is a relation there for sure. Because a lot of people, they'll buy their can, but they'll buy their muzzle devices right now because they're excited and they're just like, oh, I want to get my brake on the end of my barrel.
Right.
Even though I'm waiting 9 months for my can to arrive, they still get excited and buy the
It's a savage wait
accessories, and then they gotta wait. But you can gauge a little bit off of that for sure.
Are you guys able to say this? Have you put like a marketing strategy in place just in case, if the president or whoever allows suppressors to be non-class 3 items anymore?
That
Yeah,
wouldn't
so like the
necessar-
HPA, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
At that point, it wouldn't even necessarily be like a marketing campaign. It would just be trying to keep up with production.
Yeah.
Right.
At that point, for
Yeah.
the first little while, because, if you got to figure that there's roughly 5,000 stores that have their SOT, so that means that they can actually sell suppressors, and there's some odd like tens of thousands of gun stores throughout the U.S.
That would
And-
purchase. Yeah.
Huh,
Yeah, so
do you
now
know
that-
that number? Like, do you know exactly plus or minus, let's say,
plus or minus, it's like
3,000?
30,000.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
If HPA or
Is that HPA? I'm sorry.
so
I'm not.
Hearing
Hearing
Protection
Protection
Act,
Okay.
is currently going through legislation right now. A new one just got introduced called the Shush Act, which is basically the same thing, saying marketing or trying to push suppressors as a hearing protection device. And so if one of those passes and suppressors are no longer an NFA item, meaning you can just walk into a store, buy it, the HPA says you still have to get a background check. The Shush Act says you don't. So that's the two differences of those. But if that happens, it'll just be bonkers for 2 years probably catching up.
But you guys are ahead of the game in
I
production.
think we can produce 200-300% more than most companies.
That's
capacity-wise.
That's where you'll be like, yay!
But even then, we won't be able to keep up with the demand. A lot of people think they're waiting. They're like, I'm going to wait for HPA to pass before I buy a suppressor.
That's me.
But
Yeah,
the
me
problem
too.
with that is some people will end up waiting even longer if HPA passes because the it's just like with 22.
Well, the wait
look at the
times-
22 ammo after
Right.
Sandy Hook.
explodes.
It's
So
like
what,
really
here's a
hard to find.
scenario. Let's say I file my paperwork, right?
Mhm.
And then it passes
Mhm.
sometime within, let's say I file it today and it passes tomorrow. Does it negate the paperwork, or does it still have to go through the
It would negate that paperwork. So
Got it.
if you went filled out your paperwork now,
Yeah.
it means you also paid for the can.
Correct.
So it's yours. It's
Yeah.
just sitting at the store.
Got it.
The one thing, if HPA passed, you'd still have to do a normal background check, which they can do at the
Right.
store.
I'm sure they would
in
post it
15
where it'd be
minutes.
like December 1st, it's legal, so you'd still sit for a month or two and then walk in the store and be like, got my
Yeah.
suppressor, because you already paid for
when
it.
legislation passes, it always takes
Yeah.
sometimes 90 days for it to go into effect.
Right.
But as soon the day it goes into effect, you'd be able to go pick that can
Being
up.
able to
Right.
Amazon Prime suppressor would be the coolest.
That is
That would be
that is
so
like a dream.
amazing.
That is a dream.
That is a
If you
dream.
guys
2-day
started
shipping.
selling on Amazon, yeah, I would have no
I'll
money.
buy. Just keep a little Black Rifle
I would have
lot
one of
for
those.
us. We'll
I would
buy a
have one
lot.
of those like
Stash.
it would be like the 3 buttons, right? It would be like the Tide button,
The Tide button.
Amazon,
That's right.
You know, the cereal button, whatever that button is, and then the SilencerCo button, right?
You
You
just
just like,
press
I
it all
need
the
a new
time.
suppressor. Yeah.
Keep them coming. Yeah.
That'd be great.
The
Well-
one, I was gonna say the one thing that I found interesting is you guys both said you're waiting for HPA to pass, right? Because you don't want to have to wait.
Well, I have a few suppressors, but
Okay, so
until
that
I
holds you
purchase
over.
So
another
you're kinda
one. I have a
covered.
Silencer Co. Just
Wait,
so you know.
wait. Yeah, don't you work for him?
I don't think yet. I don't know.
You're almost there.
I gotta do that HR stuff or
Yeah.
something.
And Matt sells me his suppressors. So
Yeah, for
Totally
really
legal.
cheap too.
Perfect.
In
It's a
a
joke. That is a joke, ATF.
No, it is.
That is
It's
a
a
joke.
parking
It's a
lot.
pillow. It's a pillow.
In a parking lot, in a paper bag.
I just put out a Craigslist ad, and then I met Matt. It was
Yeah, they're
weird.
easy to sell
showed
privately.
Up, he
Super
showed up
easy.
in the parking lot at Walmart. It was weird.
Eli showed up right
That's how
behind
we
him with
met.
a bunch of Glocks.
Eli showed up. So
That's amazing.
having this difficult product, right, and having to like go out, and obviously you don't want to put out company secrets and how you guys do your marketing, but how many days or hours do you spend just trying to get into the weeds as far as developing new marketing channels that are outside of what you're currently using?
Man, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
I mean, I think the one unique thing about SilencerCo is that our marketing is done in-house, so we actually have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
We keep everything in-house we've got video and photo guy right with us right now.
have content in-house, yeah.
Content in-house, analytics and those business statistics, all that kind of stuff, all in-house. So we're not relying on somebody else to tell us something 2-3 months later and pad their stats. These are real-time stats that we're trying to figure out and how to crack the next...
And
crack into that next
all your
market.
creative marketing is great for us because I just got to pick up the phone and say, Jim, what are you guys doing this week?
I like how that works kind of both ways. It's a good combo.
Yeah, something really cool about SilencerCo is we call it vertical
Vertical integration.
Not vertical integration. That's a
Vertigo,
different
I kept wanting
thing.
to say that. So we do everything under the same roof.
That's kind of
So-
how we're set up here in the same capacity, but obviously we're not having to do a regulated item.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a little bit of practice under like the liquor stuff that we do, and that's very challenging because to get the real-time updates and
We're still dealing with them.
Yeah,
you
so.
know?
But it's pretty crazy.
Well,
a lot more
so-
challenging than selling a shirt. That's for
Shift
sure.
over to this interesting piece of information. Jace, you started out with someone Matt and I are very familiar with.
I believe so.
Mr. Devin Graham.
Mr. Devin Supertramp.
He used to work for Devin.
I didn't know that.
So Devin and I started his channel together. We met in 2008. I worked for an ad agency in Provo, and he got hired to come on and help us with something. This is before his channel existed. So we became friends, and he's like, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Do you want to be
First
part
video
of it?
was the Hawaii one jumping off the...
So we actually did one before that, and it was the Alpine bike jump.
Okay, yeah,
So
that was number one.
We just had a
Then
bunch of
Hawaii.
kids jumping into a pond.
3 was Lindsay.
up in
Devin
it.
Supertramp,
Yeah.
the channel's like super
So
happy-go-lucky,
good at this.
really, really well shot, drone shots,
Yeah.
people laughing.
Yeah, it's basically
real
a
fun.
group of kids
It's
doing
lifestyle,
something
yeah.
kind of extreme, different, and it blew up. Like I moved out to Hawaii with him while we worked on a documentary, but we also shot videos for the channel, and I think it had about 2 million subscribers when I left. And the reason I left is because I just felt like I I wasn't really growing my personal talents. Yeah. And it was hard to walk away from that because
we did all this work and
it was super successful.
Now
it
it's
still
just
is.
your name.
and Devin's been doing great. We're still really good friends. But I personally walked away from the YouTube world because I was just tired of. I felt like I was doing the same thing for every single video, and we'd perfected that template. Group of kids doing something awesome, rinse and repeat at a different location, and that's totally fine. That's what the channel is, and Devin really understands his market and his crowd. So
it's very family friendly.
It is, and it's a good time for
large brands will back the family friendly advertising.
Yeah, we were doing stuff with Mountain Dew and Ford.
Yeah, you guys did the Dew tour in like 2013 or 12-ish.
Yeah,
tried to get you guys.
It required a lot of work. Both Devin and I Devin especially was workaholic, basically putting every second of his day into that channel. Yeah, and I think he's been able to kind of pull back from that. He's got a handful of employees now, and I think he's able to relax a little. He's married now, so I think he has distanced himself a little bit, which is good because I was kind of always trying to get him to calm down a little bit. But yeah, it's paid off for him big time.
Oh no, yeah, I from day one just watched and learned. That's why I bought a glide cam.
Yeah, glide cam.
What did you do in the interim? So did you go straight to SilencerCo?
No, I worked for a place called J Mills Entertainment here in Salt Lake. It was just like a motion picture studio. We did commercial work for anyone, and then I sought out SilencerCo because I was like, these guys are doing really cool stuff. I had already purchased one of their cans, so I knew their product was good, and I grew up in the firearm world, hunting and shooting guns, so I thought I want to blend these two loves of mine, filmmaking and firearm world, and so I hit up SilencerCo. I actually ended up hitting Jim up. It's kind of a funny story of
about 2 years ago, he contacted me via, I think it was Facebook message.
It was something
like that.
What a creeper!
Yeah,
no, I don't know anybody who's ever done that.
That's how I met Jared.
That's how I met Jared too.
Yeah, so he hit me up and was like, "Hey, I want to come and just shoot some photos and some film of the PRS match you guys have going on in Price." And I was like, that's fine as long as you stay out of the way. Like, I don't. This is a serious match.
He's really annoyed.
We don't want really anybody getting in their way. And he came down. We had one of our guys shooting it, and it kind of turned out that we used more of his photos than our guys' photos and video. And so, about 11 months later, when our current video person decided to go a different path, it was a quick phone call to Jace, and he's like, "Yep, I'll start." I think you started that next week.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I mean, I gave like a 2 or 3 week notice to my current employer, but it was like they didn't even tell me how much I was going to get paid, and I was already like, yeah.
Well, right in the beginning, you used to do the second channel, the behind the scenes stuff and lesson stuff.
Yeah,
and that's where I learned a lot of shit.
Yeah,
so I remember that.
I remember talking to Jared. He was totally fanboyed out by Supertramp. So he's like, "Oh, these guys are awesome." Like, man, I was like, "I don't even know who this dude is."
He's one of he was in the rise of in the same years of Freddie Wong and everybody.
Yeah,
that is what
it was. That original YouTube bubble,
right? It was
right?
Devin. It was Freddie. It was Epic Mealtime.
Yep.
Like all these. It was
Lindsay,
Corridor Digital.
Eventually.
Well, Lindsay had broken off about 7 months after, and then finally had enough legs to stand on her own. But these are the guys that were some of the first people to make careers out of this. Richard Ryan,
kind of the forefathers of that whole YouTube scene that exploded. So, and it's interesting because these guys will have 3-4 million subscribers, and they're still kind of self-contained in their little bubble, because you'll have people like yourself who are like, I've never heard of them in my life. So it's interesting how many small groups can exist, and
with a lot of people, but still, you've never reached into that.
Even though you have 3 or 4 million subscribers, there's still so many more out there who don't even know who you are yet.
Right.
And so I think brands make a mistake there sometimes, where they feel like they're well known, and so they stop spending money on advertising, or they stop trying to promote themselves, and so they start to regress. I mean, look at Coke. They spend how many billions of dollars on marketing?
Yeah.
But who hasn't heard of Coke?
Yeah.
So.
Well, we had a really funny moment with Art 15 a few years ago, where there was just this odd demographic of people that were approaching us, like old women and stuff like that. We're like, how do you know who we are? They're like, oh, you're really popular with people that have Crohn's disease. And we're like,
Really?
what?
Because our fuck lettuce shirt.
Because our fuck lettuce shirt went
That's
viral
amazing.
within their support groups because
That's
none of them
awesome.
can eat lettuce. So it was like, we were like, what?
Super bizarre.
That's really cool.
You guys recently put a pretty cool production together, right? The
Mexican one,
the Spanish one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was our April Fool's video. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
April Fool's.
that did very
It was
well.
good.
Yeah, I watched that before it came out. I believe the CEO sent us that, and it was
cool.
freaking awesome.
Yeah, that was a fun one. They basically, that's another thing I like working for SilencerCo is they'll just say, give us something for April Fool's. They don't tell me what it needs to be or what it has to do. And so I wrote that, handed it off to my boss, and we made a couple changes. But it's cool to be able to take my vision and do something with it rather than being told. Because my other jobs, it was, this is what we're
it's innovative
doing.
ways to market a product instead of being like, like we have to do it this way. You can develop this whole alternative world out there and then just have your product a part of it. And that's almost better to me in how I market my stuff because it's creating a culture. You're not like reactive, you're proactive.
Well,
in creating
and the
things.
firearms industry is so boring with its marketing.
It
And
really
it has
is.
been for
Yeah.
100 years.
It really
like
is.
it's
Well, for companies out there too that are looking to, or that either don't have a content shop or looking to develop a content shop, people like you are priceless because from start to finish you can do it all.
yeah.
You don't need a camera guy. You don't need a gear guy. You don't need a sound guy. You don't need an editor. You can do start to finish.
Yeah.
And that's where the speed comes from. Vision to finished product without all these other people
You know,
involved.
the red tape involved
Yep.
and all that.
Yeah, a lot of people they'll say, "Oh, you run the video team. How many guys do you have?" And I'm like,
You just start crying. Me.
none.
Because
I
every
mean-
time I ask Jim, why didn't you bring Jace? He's busy.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I literally start from the pre-production, take it through production and post, all the way through. Which is, like you said, we're kind of in a day and age where if you're working in video production, you almost have to know a lot of traits and skills.
Yes.
Back in the old day, it used to be you had a camera guy, you had a director, you had an editor, you had a sound guy that all specialized in that one thing.
Yeah, but I think that when I see their content that's really good, it ends up being mainly one guy because they have that initial vision and they carry that vision through the whole thing, how it's shot. They're
without
they're
so many
acting as the
fingers in there
DP,
fucking
they're
with it.
acting as the director. They make sure the audio is good, and then they might outsource a little sound design or something like that. But the whole creative process is kind of directed by one guy for everything. And then,
and the bigger the vision, the harder it is.
Of course.
right?
But we're
to
talking
state.
3 to 5 minute
for
sketches.
these 3 to 5
or
minutes, and I
advert.
do get quite a bit of help from Jim, Connor, Chris, some of these guys that work in marketing that will help me, even if it's just carrying gear around. Sometimes that can be a huge pain, especially when we were doing the April Fool's video. We were out in the kind of middle of nowhere, southern Utah, and there's just tons of gear you got to be moving, and you got to get the drone up in the air. And I mean, there was one point for the final shot. I had one camera set up filming the pinata that was about to explode, and I had another guy running another camera. I was flying the drone. Jim was having issues with the gun, so I had to run down there with the drone in the air, get on the gun, and shoot the pinata to blow it up while all these cameras were running at the same time. So it was a pretty wild
But that makes it
experience.
fun.
It
you
was
know?
way fun. I mean,
It's way fun than sitting back and just
I
it's
love
way more
it.
interactive.
I absolutely love it. And then I'm sure we'll bring on 1 or 2 more people to help me out because we're starting to pump out more and more content, and there's only so much I can do, but it's been really good working for them just because they give me so much creative leeway.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, sweet.
How's how's your podcast? Like, how's it structured? What do you guys talk about?
tell us about that.
Yeah, tell us about that.
I was gonna say the podcast is really kind of loose. We just kind of it's not necessarily silencer specific. We'll pick a target or a topic in and around the firearms industry and go off from that. This last episode we did was iconic movie guns and just kind of went down that rabbit hole. But then we'll also talk about a little bit of news. Florida man's made an appearance once or twice.
Who's that?
Just
So there's
Florida
always
man.
all these crazy news articles. That,
It always starts
you
with
see
Florida man,
does
acute,
someone's face.
throws gator through drive-through
Yes.
window.
Yeah.
Like,
or
Right on.
shoots dick off with gun because
Yeah,
that
that's the
was
last one.
literally
So-
the last one that happened.
when I pitched the podcast to the bosses, I basically said we're not doing this, and we should be because it's just another place for us to be, another space. And I wanted it to be something that involved the listeners. So like we want eventually we're already starting to get people sending in like ideas and topics they want us to talk about. So that's kind of the idea, is a way to kind of give people a peek behind the curtain a little bit at SilencerCo, but have it be kind of a show that develops around our listener base. And we'll talk about what they want us to talk about. And so, yeah, we'll pick a topic of the show. We had like guns in space. So we talked about guns that the Soviets were taking into space in the 70s. And everything's usually revolving around the firearms world or the outdoors world in some capacity. But we really talk about all sorts of random stuff on there. It's just kind of fun. It's loose. It's not.
Does a gun work in space?
We don't want it to be serious, and we don't want it to be stuffy like the firearms industry normally is.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The firearm space is pretty stuffy.
Yeah.
It seems to be a bunch of like really serious.
It is.
Like, old white guys.
Just and it really is. And people joke about that, but it's because the stereotype is very true. And we see it as like the Second Amendment has slowly been getting chipped away at.
Yeah, exactly.
For a long, long time. And it's going to be who knows how long before the next generation of kids grow up scared of guns, and they don't want to touch them. They don't want anything to do with them. They're uneducated about them. So pretty soon that market's just gone. Right. So we try to really market to younger crowds, video game kids, to snowboarders, to even like the hip hop crowd, and just broaden that. And we get a little bit of flack from our competitors saying, like, kind of teasing us for a guy, like, why is that guy snowboarding and shooting a gun?
Because that's awesome.
Because that's Scotty Lago, and he's one of the best snowboarders in the world. So fuck you.
Because it's
he's
fun, and you should enjoy your life.
And why wouldn't you want that group of people enjoying something that you enjoy? So I think they're kind of threatened by it mostly. And so
I like that. There was a video. I think you guys did a collab video with Noveski when they were on the speedboats in the rivers.
Yeah, Find Your Range is what.
Dude, it was great because you had a guy that was just in a speedboat, ripping around, and it's a really flat glass river. It wasn't like white water or something dangerous, and he's just tagging steel. I think that was actually Mike, wasn't it? Mike was the guy shooting it. Yeah. And I saw that video. I was like, man, that's a fucking awesome video. And that looks like fun. It looks like a lot of fun.
Like
that photo of Mike doing the 360 flip in operator gear, like that's a cool photo.
It's a fucking cool photo.
Well, and it's like the last one we just did where we went over the Arizona desert and shot out of an airplane. I mean, we did that in a safe, controlled atmosphere, and we got some shit for it, but it was one of those things. It was done completely safe. Nobody was worse for the wear, and that's one of those videos that gets picked up by outside feeds where like Forbes picked it up and things like that. So that's kind of the envelope we want to push.
They take it out of context, and people have attacked me for that, saying like I'm messing around with guns and making it unprofessional. It's like professionalism is in the handling and where you have a range. Mm-hmm. Are you being safe? Everything else should be a fucking riot. You should have fun with it. That's what firearms are for. 100%. Is to have a 15-year-old kid just drop 100 rounds through a belt fed. If you're doing it safe, let's do it. That's great.
Yeah. So we had people hitting us up like, I can't believe you guys were skydiving, shooting guns. That's crazy, but they don't know that we had a 16-mile radius to ourselves.
Restrictive operating zone.
We took every precaution we could. It's almost like you go watch John Wick and then complain that they weren't safe with the guns. Like, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes to make it safe, whether they're using blanks or whether it's digital effects added in later, because we do all those things sometimes.
That was one of my favorite ones from the Scotty Lago video. Somebody was like, "I've saw too many cameras pointed at too many guns pointed at cameras," and all I wrote back was "tripod, bro." Like, that easy as that.
There's a lot of movie magic that goes into that to make sure people are safe.
We do that too. It's like when you cut an angle, like you want that downrange angle of you throwing around right past it. It's not like Eli's back there with the camera like, "Hey dude, don't shoot me." It's just on a tripod. Like the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to put a bullet through a red camera, and that would be very terrible. But
that might be more expensive than Eli. But
we could bury Eli in the back with that red camera.
Well, all right. How do we find you guys, both company and personally?
So our company, SilencerCo, everything. And then our podcast is Psycho Radio. And I mean, my name is Jace Leroy. That's pretty much all you got to Google if you want to find me.
Oh, damn.
Jim York, you'll find some baseball players and people way cooler than me. So go for it.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming
Psycho
on.
Radio, and thank you guys for joining us for Blackhearted.
Let's go drink coffee and shoot suppressors.
Perfect.
Black Rifle Coffee Company, along with Arson Wave, would like to thank you for tuning in to Blackhearted. Have a great fucking day.